Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. So today we're here to talk a little bit all the great things happening in Louisville, but I first want to say thanks, Mayor, for coming out, Dr. Boushey for being here. I know for many cities, the airport's the first gateway and the first impression, and so I'm always proud to be able to talk about the $1 billion we're spending in the airport for our customers, for UPS, growing air service, and making sure that we're ready to continue to grow and make this wonderful first impression for the city that we all love. And so with that, I'll hand it over to the mayor.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dan, and good morning, everyone. It's great to always be at the airport here in Louisville, where Dan and his entire team are doing such a wonderful job of making continuous improvements, as we have one of the fastest growing airports in America year after year. And the team here at the airport continues to invest in the traveler's experience so that everyone has a great experience, whether you're in Louisville and you're traveling somewhere else, or whether you are visiting Louisville here. What has been done and what is being done and planned to be done is absolutely amazing to continue to have more people have the opportunity to come and visit Louisville. And one reason why we have the opportunity to have a phenomenal airport, one of the fastest growing airports in America, is because of strong, important investments that we've been able to make thanks to the President Biden's agenda, the building infrastructure law, and other federal initiatives that have helped make federal dollars available to invest right here in Louisville, right here in the airport. And we're so fortunate to have Dr. Boushey with us here today. Dr. Heather Boushey is the chief economist for President Biden's Investing in America cabinet, and she's part of the White House Council on Economic Advisors. And we've had the chance this morning to meet, to talk about the impactful investments from many of these federal pieces of legislation that have provided funding here for the airport and for other things around our city. We have new parks that are being opened, one of which we're doing the ribbon cutting on today, thanks to federal dollars through the American Rescue Plan. New libraries that are being renovated and open, thanks to federal dollars. Housing, the Beecher Terrace, we talk about the increasing affordable housing here in our city. The federal government plays a key role in that. And then, of course, the bipartisan infrastructure law, which has helped so many investments right here in the airport, as well as with other needed infrastructure around our city, like Broadway all the way, where we're reimagining what the entire length of Broadway can be. We're getting ready to start construction on the reimagining 9th Street project, just at the western edge of downtown. We've got projects underway like the Community Care Campus, which are helping to provide more services and shelters for individuals who are experiencing homelessness. All of this is because of investments that the federal government has made available thanks to some of these historic programs that Dr. Boushey is going to talk about, and that her and President Biden and the entire administration are working to implement for the benefit of cities like Louisville. So it's great to have Dr. Boushey with us here today. It's also great to have a great partner in Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, in Congressman Morgan McGarvey, who was not able to join us here today, but his colleague Joni Jenkins was with us for the entire discussion. We thank Congressman McGarvey for his partnership as well. We also had a chance to talk about what the future economic outlook looks like, and so it's just a true honor to have Dr. Boushey here with us in Louisville. So without further ado, to talk a little bit about these federal investments that are being made in Louisville, as well as what is the outlook for the economy in cities like Louisville and around the country, let me introduce you to a member of the White House Council on Economic Advisors, Dr. Heather Boushey.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, Dan. It is just a real treat and honor to be able to be with you here today. We had such a wonderful tour of the airport, so thank you to Dan and to his team. It was really fantastic, and thank you, Mayor. It's great to be in your fine city. I was here all weekend, and it was absolutely lovely. So I want to spend a couple of moments talking about the President's Invest in America agenda. It's why I'm here today. The President knew that there were a lot of challenges around the country, and is why he committed when he ran for office and through governing to not just build back from the recession caused by the pandemic and all of those ensuing challenges, but to build back better. and making foundational investments in infrastructure all across the country to make sure that we have the roads and the bridges and the airports and the access to broadband and clean water and all the things that we need to keep our economies thriving across the country. That was one of his core goals. And of course, a second core goal was to make capacity expanding investments in really important technologies of the future. It's why we're investing so much in semiconductors all across the country, and it's why we're investing so much in clean energy. And it was really exciting to hear today about some of the new things being put in place here at the airport that are going to save so much money by investing in geothermal and investing in the grid here at the airport, the microgrid, that are going to save the airport money and are going to be good for our environment, our planet, and are going to help us, the United States, learn from these new technologies. So I have to say, just as someone coming from the President's team to talk to you today, I'm always so overwhelmed by what I learned from the teams here, and I'm going to be taking back a lot of that knowledge and the cutting edge that this airport and the team here in Louisville is doing. And this was the President's goal, to build the economy better through investing in people and places all across the country, being able to tap into that local innovation and vitality so that we can deliver those capacity-enhancing investments that are going to create those good jobs all across the country. Another thing we talked about this morning was the need for construction workers here at the airport and around the community, and what that means for the kinds of jobs that we're creating here in Louisville, and how important that is for communities. For the President, it is so important that along the way, as we're making these investments, we're always doing so in a way that empowers and educates workers, focusing on making sure that workers have the right to join a union, focusing on things like community benefits agreements and apprenticeships and the like. So I'm excited to be here and excited to see that the kind of economy that we're seeing around the nation is as vital here in Louisville as it is other places, to see so many jobs have been created, exciting to see so many new businesses being started up here in this community, and how that economic vitality really is laying the foundation for stronger growth in the weeks and months and years to come. So congratulations on your investments, and thank you all. And I will just end with where I began, which is that the President committed to not just building back, but to building back better through making investments that grow the economy from the middle out. And it's exciting to see that here happening in Louisville and Kentucky today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boushey. Any of us are happy to take any questions from the media about this right now. We'll then take a 2-minute break, and I'm going to have some other comments to make about the events over the weekend. But if you all have any questions for this leading national economic advisor to President Biden while she is in Louisville, we are happy to take any questions you all might have.
Dr. Boushey, I don't think anyone would argue that investing in infrastructure is a bad thing. Can you just talk about how that, maybe for some people who have some concerns about how that then affects things like inflation and other things that may affect your average consumer, and how something like this relates to that?
Certainly. Well, you got to make those investments if you want the economy to thrive. One of the things that on our tour of the airport here today, we saw a lot of the work happening all around the airport by UPS, which of course is so important not just here to Louisville, but around the country. We learned something really important during the pandemic, which is how fragile our global supply chains are, and how important those networks that get things from place A to place B are to keeping inflation down. And in fact, we saw in 2021, when we had that shortage of semiconductors around the world, that in and of itself was a huge, important part of inflation that year, because people couldn't get those semiconductors. And that led to price increases, not just for the things with semiconductors in them, but all sorts of goods, because of the way that the supply chains work. So first, making those foundational investments that cut the time of how long it takes a UPS plane to go from A to B here at the airport, that's helping America's supply chains work, and that's going to keep prices down for us all. So that's thing one. And then thing two is that, the President has been so focused on lowering costs and making sure to, as he says, give families a little bit of breathing room. It was really exciting to see when we got the new inflation data last week. The prices actually fell in June, last month. So we actually saw that, prices are down. And prices are actually down this year for cars, appliances, and groceries. We were talking in my office that you could, pack a picnic lunch, making a ham sandwich and a chocolate chip cookie and an apple for less this year than you could this time last year. And so, the president has been focused on bringing prices down. We are seeing that, and we know that these investments are the key to helping our economy thrive.
The president has talked on the campaign about job creation. He brings it up. But then we have examples of large manufacturers that have been cutting workforce. Today in Kentucky, manufacturing plant, and also centuries-old companies like John Deere continuing to announce hundreds of people being laid off at plants across the country. So how, when we talk about job creation, are we filling those skilled workforces like a John Deere with other opportunities? Because those are significant losses.
So really important questions. There's a couple of different answers. So one, when you zoom out and look at the national statistics, and I can tell you we watch these very closely at the Council of Economic Advisors every week. We look at a whole array of data on job losses and layoffs and what that's looking like across the country. And so we know from a national perspective, we actually are still in a very tight labor market, a very strong economy, created over 200,000 jobs last month. Job gains continue to add up. We also know that these investments that the president has been making through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act, those have led to the kinds of productivity-enhancing investments that are going to benefit communities for a long time to come. We've actually seen this record increase in the construction of new manufacturing facilities, something I know is happening in your community. There's a bunch of new manufacturing investment happening. However, even though we've seen a doubling of the investment in those facilities, it typically takes, by our estimate, about 6 to 8 quarters for that to lead to the permanent manufacturing jobs. And so those will emerge over time. Right now, it's those construction jobs, kind of going out there and creating that investment. Then to the specific examples that you brought up, I'm less familiar about the specific case studies. Certainly we know that, businesses, there's always churn in the economy, but when you look at that bigger picture, and even here in Kentucky and Louisville, you do continue to see that strength, and that's where the workforce development system comes in. That's where making sure that we have the tools in place to help those workers when those challenges happen. But the important thing is that we're making those investments to create that widespread opportunity, which we are seeing. And so, I think those workforce systems are the first thing to turn to in a case like that.
Anything else?
Dan, just talk about investment for the airport, what this means for commercial flying and as well as the average consumer when it comes to.
Yeah, I mean, we're spending, again, this terminal program, when we finish, probably 3 or 4 more years, will be almost $1 billion. And it's really going into the customer experience in a terminal, from all new jet bridges to new baggage claim belts, high efficiency LED lighting, the geothermal field, which sets us on a path to be carbon neutral by 2050. A lot of those programs, infrastructure, UPS, we are able to keep our costs low. We talk about inflation. Our costs are under $6 per plane passenger, which is why we're competitive and growing our market, more ultra-low-cost carriers in our market, and really just investing to make sure that we can continue to grow and continue to be the gateway. So it's all aspects of our investment. Bipartisan infrastructure legislation has put in about $13 million a year, which we're putting into a checkpoint expansion, going from 7 lanes today to 10 lanes, a microgrid, so we'll be robust. If there's power failures, we can continue to operate for 72 hours. And just improving all the efficiencies for UPS, because they really are the driver of our infrastructure growth and what we're trying to do to continue to grow air service. So none of this would be possible without the extra financing. And again, right now, to date, we have not had to borrow any extra money for this. So that's probably not going to be the case forever. But right now, we're able to cash flow it and investing a lot to make it better for all our partners.